Jegor's Polanka is an autistic teen. He lives with his parents and a younger brother, Michael, who demeans him all the time. He attends the classes for the disabled every day to enhance his speech and to interact with kids of his kind. Everyone in the class is taking part in an action rhyme, but he's the only one sitting still and not reciting any of it or performing any of the actions. When his teacher asks him to raise his index finger to make an action, he raises the middle finger instead. At home, his mom Małgorzata is engaging Christina to employ her as a personal tutor for Jegors, as she explains to her that he's curious about the world but can't express himself in any way. His dad Lukasz brings a toy elevator he built. No one had trained him on how to do that, but by observation of how the elevator works and his own genius, he managed to create this. Jegors and his brother Michael return from their various schools in no time. Michael greets Jegors' new teacher, and when it's Jegors' turn to do the same, he passes by them and heads straight to the piano when he hears the sound. His dad tries to get him changed first, but he throws a tantrum and everyone in the room stares at him. Later, his dad gets someone to fix the piano for him to play since it's the only thing he has shown interest in. His class begins the next day. He doesn't pay attention to anything his teacher says, but when she shows him her colored hand, he also colors his. She tries getting him to say some words, but he turns away and scatters the sheet he's working on. His teacher makes some gestures to him so that he picks it up, and he does. With that, she realizes that he has a problem with hearing. When she tells his parents about it, they refuse to accept it and even show her tests that were conducted some years ago which show he can hear. To make his parents believe, she drops a knife on the floor and asks him to pick it up without gesturing, and he doesn't. But when she adds some gestures to it, he picks it up quickly. They go to take the hearing test again. The doctor brings the results. Jegors can hear, but not much. He only hears and feels the vibrations when the sound is high-pitched. That makes him love to play the piano. The doctor then inserts a hearing aid in his ear. It begins to work. He hears sounds and even hears himself screaming. When they get home, his dad asks everyone to speak to him in a normal way and address him by his name so that he can learn to speak. As days pass, his dad teaches him how to use a radio. He shows interest in it, but when he leaves it with him for some minutes and returns, he is pained to see him dismantling every bit of it. He again takes him to a local piano concert where he ends up screaming and disturbing everyone in there. Later, the family goes hiking. There, he learns how echo works. Moving on, his dad tries getting him into a school, but when they refuse to admit him, his mom takes him to a school for the blind and pleads with the school's director to admit him, and he does. Jegors starts attending classes with the blind kids and normally listens to music at night. He finds a piano room one day and takes a seat to play while another class is going on. When Alicia the teacher goes to him to stop him, she is impressed to see him play very well even in his condition. Jegors starts playing Moonlight Sonata. When he stumbles with it, the teacher helps him. He returns home very happy, and his mom even wonders why he has changed so much. As time goes on, he bonds with Alicia and learns to play different songs, but still insists he wants to learn to play Sonata. At home, he tries learning new words on his own and keeps reciting them when he's alone. Jegors plays in front of his parents one day. Though it wasn't good, his parents applaud at it to make him happy. Alicia then suggests they take him to a music school so that he learns more. His parents don't find her idea to be needful, but when Jegors says he wants to go to a music school to become a great musician, they take his decision into consideration and speak to the director of the school so that he will be admitted into their music school. He doesn't see why he should admit him because he thinks he's too old for that and his intellect isn't ready to grasp all the musical notes. On their way home, Lukasz keeps cursing at the school and the systems that the government has put in place. Jegors thinks it's his dad's fault for not realizing that he hasn't been hearing for all these years. His dad tries to explain it to him, but when he doesn't listen and keeps blaming him, he loses control of the car and ends up parking it under a tree. It still doesn't make him stop talking. He's now telling his dad to drive the car home so that he can do something productive. He feels he has already wasted many years of his life doing nothing. At home, Alicia visits him while he's alone thinking about his life. She hands him a book containing the notes of Sonata, so he can learn it. She urges him to not be discouraged by what people say or how they treat him. His parents still want to make his dream as a musician come to pass for him. They hire a man named Juris to teach him how to use notes and read sheet music. He then asks Juris to get rid of his mustache so that Jegors can easily read his lips when he's teaching him. Jegors's music class with Juris begins. When Juris asks him to note down the notes of the song he's playing to enable him to play better, he tells him he didn't come to him because of note writing but to play music. When Juris persists and even explains the use of notes and music sheets, he mocks at him saying his parents hired a dumb person to teach him music. Juris doesn't mind his words and still goes on to teach him the notes. The next day, Małgorzata takes him to see the principal of a music school to try and make her admit him. The piano teacher tells Małgorzata to continue his private lessons with Juris because he's not ready for a music school yet since he can't hear. The principal of the music school thinks that Jegors has something special within him and to let that become a reality. She suggests that they make him have an auditory implant so that he can hear everything clearly and pursue his music dreams. Małgorzata goes to the doctor the next day to inquire about the surgery. The doctor tells her that the implant might do him more harm than good. It isn't something you can rely on and it can make him totally lose his sense of hearing. Małgorzata explains what the doctor said to Jegors, but he doesn't mind what the doctor said. All he wants to do is to have the implant, hear properly and play piano. When his mom disagrees with him, he argues with her and leaves saying only a mother will understand him. The next day, Grigor's parents take him to an art gallery. They make him play the piano there and everyone present turns to look at him. A lady named Justina even takes a picture of him and promises to bring the picture to him in the next 2 or 3 days. Jegors continues to take his lessons with Juris. Juris uses simple everyday things like a potato and mountains to teach him notes. Later, Jegors takes the implant. After the surgery, he did a hearing test which came out negative. The implants didn't work and he can't hear anything now. On their way home, Lukasz keeps blaming the doctors for not doing the implant correctly. Małgorzata tells him it's time to stop blaming the doctors and start blaming himself. She joins Jegors at the back and tries to speak to him, and when he doesn't hear a thing, the movie plays back when Jegors was a baby. His dad, Lukasz, crashed their car into another car when he was watching his mom Joanna in the mirror. The crash was the cause of his loss of his sense of hearing and his mother's death. At home, Jegors plays his piano again, but when he doesn't hear any sound coming from it, he leaves it and goes to bed. Małgorzata goes to the graveyard the next day to put flowers on Joanna's grave and clean the gravestone. At home, Jegors is in the bathroom when he realizes that he can hear sound waves a little. Gradually, he begins to hear perfectly and starts to attend the music school. His music teacher doesn't have patience to teach him little by little. Jegors sees this and tells his mom that he wants to stop with the school. During his brother's birthday, he constantly calls home saying he wants to come home. His dad runs out of patience and goes for him. When he comes home, he tells his parents to look for a different music school because he doesn't like the one he's in now. They try to explain to him that it is the only school that accepted him, but he doesn't listen and curses them. As his punishment, his dad stops him from playing the piano. Later, his mom takes him to a professor who tells him to attend a music festival for people with hearing impairment just like him. He wants Jegors to show the world how talented he is, but the young man still doesn't want to play. Justina visits him days later to give him the picture she took when he was playing. When Jegors sees the picture, he doesn't show interest in it because she didn't make it colored. Justina then tells him to sit and play again so that she can take a colored photo of him, but he doesn't sit. He says he quit playing the piano a long time ago, and if she came earlier like she promised, she would have gotten many pictures of him. Justina tries to tell him that she wasn't well. She is suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, but Jegors doesn't mind that and tells her to leave. As she leaves, she looks at his picture and goes back. She then asks him to teach her how to play, and he also tells her he wants to learn how to take pictures. Jegors starts teaching Justina how to play, and she also takes him to the mountains to teach him to take pictures of her. As they lie on a rock and watch the sky, Jegors tells Justina to move in with him. Afterwards, Jegors calls Justina several times, but when he doesn't answer and comes to his house later on, he calls her a fraud for not staying with him all the time and didn't pick up his calls too. He says he has learned to play the Moonlight Sonata because of her, but he doesn't see why he should associate himself with her again and drives her out of the house. At the music festival, Jegors is given 3 minutes to perform the Moonlight Sonata. When he's called to play, he stares at the large crowd and goes on to play. Jegors plays the piano flawlessly. The music teacher from the school watches him and regrets not taking him seriously. Alicia nods in line with his tunes and his dad tears up. seeing his son's dream fulfilled. Jagors won the festival Beats of Cochlea and he became quite popular afterwards.